Hi, guys, and welcome to La Lucha is Real podcast. I'm your host, Angel.
And I'm Edith.
And we just went on a whole tangent about Bridgerton and storylines and whatnot.
So just keep in mind there will be spoilers in the next, I don't know how many
However
minutes.
fucking minutes we spent on that whole rant. So there's going to be spoilers. If you haven't, you might want to skip ahead like 15 minutes.
Literally, we went on a tangent, bro.
Yeah, we went on a tangent.
A little bit about I haven't read the books. I really want to read them. Have you read them? Mm-mm. I really want to read them because you know how the book is.
No, girl, if I read them, I would have been knowing everything that happened.
I did already know going into the show that at the end it was gonna be like she wasn't really in love with her husband that she married, you know, but she was gonna fall in love immediately after first sight or something like that with the husband's cousin. Something about the book.
Oh, because you had seen it online?
Yeah, I saw it on TikTok. So I had already spoiled it for myself. But so I saw that, but it was his cousin that was supposed to be Michael, you know? And then at the end, plot twist with fucking Bridgerton, and then they're like, oh no, Michael, what is it, Michaela
or something like that.
And then the way I was like, oh my god, they're fucking changing it up. Changing it up.
Are you a fan of storylines sticking like movies and shows sticking to like the storyline of the book?
Yes, if I read the book. So because I feel like I didn't read the books before, I'm a little whatever about it, you know. But yes, usually when I read the book, for example, let's put an example, 50 Shades of Grey. It was kind of upsetting for me, knowing that it didn't go exactly how the book laid it out, you know, because that's how I imagined it.
Yeah.
So
okay, in that same sense, so what about how what are some of the movies where people are pissed off because they changed it?
Oh, you have what, The Little Mermaid?
Oh, like The Little Mermaid.
Controversy or whatever.
Because of her being black or whatever, and the original Little Mermaid is.
Yeah. Honestly, I didn't really care that they changed her. Honestly, I thought it was cool representation. It wasn't like, oh my god, she has to be white with bright red hair. I don't really care for it. But then again, I'm like, I don't know. It depends on the stories, I guess.
It depends on the story.
Yeah, it depends on the stories because I don't remember reading The Little Mermaid. I probably did, but I just didn't really, I don't know, no le ponía tanta importancia who they played it. But I feel like it's more so like maybe the book series or something like that. That I'm a little bit more.
I agree with you in the sense of I feel like if I read the book, obviously no me afecta tanto because I hadn't read the book.
Yeah.
You know, but if I read, and I love reading. So if any of the books that I've read, if they decide to make them into a movie, that's why I'm looking forward to It Ends With Us, because I thought I don't know why, but I was one of those people that I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna hate read this because so many people were already there was a lot of people who
There's a lot of hype over the book.
Yes, there was so hype over the book, and I was just like, oh my god, it's probably one of those things that people are just like, oh my god, whatever, hyping it up, right? And I read it, girl, just I feel like it wasn't just it wasn't just a love story. There was so much depth to the book, and I don't care. People can fucking criticize me if they've read fucking Notre Dame and whatever, all these fucking whatever. I don't even know what the fuck Notre Dame.
Edgar Allan Poe.
Yeah, I don't care if y'all read some fucking Edgar Allan Poe and some historically amazing people, but to me, I just feel like it was so realistic that I literally teared up reading the book.
You told me it was a really good book.
To me, it was just this is something that, I'm sorry, but there's some stories that historically have been decided are great. I can't relate to them. I'm sorry. So this book, it was something that I feel like so many of us can relate to. And just the fact, I was just telling you this the other day, I was so passionate about the fact that they chose Blake Lively to play Lily.
Yeah.
I was like, Because like, don't get me wrong, that's what we're talking
you
about.
gave me a whole ass PowerPoint, guys.
It was just like, because it was just frustrating because like, don't get me wrong, like I love Blake Lively, I like her movies, like she's a great actor. Yeah, she's an amazing actress, and I was like, I like her stuff, but when I was reading the book, like I just didn't picture Blake Lively. First of all, I feel like I pictured more someone like Cheryl from Riverdale playing Lily because of the bright red hair and just, I don't know. That's who I kind of pictured. And I feel like because also the movie was going to do amazing, whether they used like big name actors or not, I feel like they could have used the opportunity to get smaller actors to play these roles and give them the opportunity to like make a name for themselves or whatever, but like the movie was gonna do great whether or not they had Blake Lively because of the book. Just because of the book, like people are gonna go watch this. But no, I like when I read a book and if they stick to it as much as they can. Obviously, like some things, like I can see why they like to hype it up a little bit more to add more oomph. I can see why they'll like change some things, but if they stick true to the storyline, I love that. And then when they change it, I'm just like, dude, that was fucking disappointing.
God damn.
But I also see how sometimes it could be a good thing. Like, for example, in okay, we're gonna go back to Twilight. The last book, you know how they split it into two different movies or whatever?
Yeah.
The whole fighting scene at the end never fucking happened.
Yeah, that's what my sister told me.
That whole fighting scene never fucking happened, but I see why they did it in the movie.
It adds drama.
It adds drama to it, and I actually I kind of like the fighting scene because I was like, oh shit, what's gonna happen?
We're a fan of the Twilight movies here. Also, low-key haters.
Yeah, we love to like hate watch sometimes.
Yes.
We'll just like, because it's just so bad sometimes, but it's so good.
But it's crazy how like if you like teenage Edith watching those movies, bro, they were the fucking best.
Yeah. And now you like ew. Now you watch them and then you're like, first of all, why is Taylor Lautner watching or wearing John Cena shorts?
I know. No, bro, me and Angel were literally laughing about that for like a whole hour. And Val too.
Yeah, because the John Cena shorts. He just walks around with them.
But it's very poor production and everything. Well, obviously they had a limited budget, so they did what they could with that.
Yeah. Or even like the people who now make fun of the fucking Twilight movies and like the facial expressions.
Yes.
Like there's people who literally got internet famous just for making fun of these movies.
Bro,
and I'm
like
here
what
for
they
it.
say, like what they say, how cringy it is.
I know, and then you're like, oh my god.
Like that scene with Edward on the tree, and then
yeah, or when Jasper smells like a little drop of blood, and he's like,
god,
like
yes.
he has this pained look on his face, and I'm like, he probably just walks around like that all the time because he can smell when girls are on their period. Like,
he's on high alert all the time. But what were we talking about? Oh yes, taken to the storyline.
Bridgerton. Yes. I've seen the seasons now. Because I waited until the part 2 came out.
Oh gosh, I was literally just waiting for you to watch it because you hadn't watched it.
Yeah.
And I'm the person that I'm gonna watch it right now. I watched it all part 1 and then I watched completely all part 2 and whenever cuando salió. So
yeah, I was like, I had to wait. I was like, I can't, because I'm so impatient. I'm like, I can't be like left on a cliffhanger. Yeah. I have to like watch it all. Like I knew they were gonna do the whole part 1, part 2 thing. Yeah. Netflix is fucking doing that shit now.
Oh yeah.
They like will wait to like release
to keep the people there.
I know. But anyways, yeah, I was kind of like when I saw that thing that I told you about the like storylines or whatever, and that's how I know that Eloise does end up marrying somebody, because I saw like she married some guy named Philippe or something like that. Yeah. And oh my god, I'm just giving like all the spoilers.
Oops, guys.
Because if they go based off of the book, so Philippe or whatever is actually married to a cousin of the Bridgertons or something like that. Yeah. or in the storyline, he was like married to a cousin of the Featheringtons. Is it Featheringtons?
Feathertons?
Or Feathertons?
No, Featheringtons, I think.
Something like that. Whatever, you know what I'm talking about.
Feathers.
Yeah, but I guess they like changed it because in the book he's married to the Bridgerton's cousin, and then she passes away, and then Eloise and him end up getting married.
Oh,
damn! I'm just giving all the spoilers.
I can't wait till her love story.
And then they share Gregory and Hykins or whatever. They have their love interest too.
Oh yeah.
So I think they're just gonna keep going until they have Okay, but back to Benedict. I thought he was the eldest brother, but it turns out he's not. Yeah. I was just like, wait, what the fuck? Because back in the day, there was no expectation for men to get married as soon as they turned a certain age. Like they could just keep
on going until they just wanted to get married.
That's crazy. But then there was like all this fucking social pressure for women to get married at a young age. If not, they're considered like spinsters.
Yeah, I was like, I think it's after the age of like 24, 25. If you weren't married or something, you would consider a spinster.
That's so crazy.
Because you get brought to society, or like basically shown to society when you're like 16, 15, 16. I'm going based on the actual. Well, technically 18 for Netflix, right? Mm-hmm. But I don't know in the books. I'm pretty sure it's fucking young, bro. If we're being...
yeah, because like
even... 1800s.
Because even in like, I know Mexican culture, like the whole reason why quinceañeras were invented is because that's how men were like, or dads, which is so crazy to me, that dads would literally be like, let's throw this huge party because my daughter is now of age so she can get married and be sold.
Y las presentan en la sociedad. And then right there, that's why the vals, different men would dance with her. And whichever offered the most cows or the most goats or the most money ended up taking her. It was supposed to be like that. Se iban,
What a flip to society, because it used to be that men would just sell off their daughters or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then it was like flipped, because then all of a sudden it was just like, they wanted to keep their precious daughters as long as they could, as long as they wanted to. Yeah. And they weren't allowed to leave the house until they're actually, like, married. I'm like, what a change, like, how that flipped.
Kind of, like, goes in hand a little bit, though. Because whenever, like, la quinceañera, it's like, okay, presented to society, trying to find a suitable match, or the one el que ofrezca más dinero. Mm-hmm. But technically, the girl couldn't leave until... Mm-hmm. She was married.
Well, yeah, but I feel like as time went on, it wasn't 15 anymore. Mm-hmm. It was like somehow...
It incrementó la edad. Like, yeah. And it started turning it more into a tradition, like a celebration of womanhood, instead of like auctioning off your daughter.
I know, which is so crazy.
Weird.
Yeah.
Weird. But yeah, it does have a very kind of dark in a way thing, because... a lot of, like, they were really young. It's 15. What's 15, bro? Yeah. You're still a kid, and you're over here. You have, like, these fucking señores, como tú estabas diciendo, they had no pressure on getting married. So now they're married, and they're, like, what, 50, 60? Like,
that's crazy to me.
And, of course, those are the ones that are mostly going to win, because they have more assets already to their name. Mm-hmm. So they're going to offer the most. So you have a whole bunch of, like, young girls being married.
Sold off.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, married to these old-ass men.
That's disgusting.
Yeah.
Back to Bridgerton, though, because we just went on a whole, like...
Quinceañera tangent.
Yeah. Benedict. Mm-hmm. I was, like, hoping they would really go with the storyline of him being polyamorous. Because I'm just saying, I love me a good poly romance.
You're like, I want to see where this goes.
And then it was just like, no, I just want to be a free man. And the girl wants to get serious. And I'm like, what? Obviously, I haven't read the book, so, there's a lot more that goes to it. But I was like, oh, that would have been great to have, like, a fucking, what do they call them? Like, what's a storyline when it's like a time, what is it called? In stories, cuando tienen like a certain, like they're called they're like a time period. There we go. Like I love a good time period love story with polyamory, because obviously that's always been like kind of, what is the word? Taboo.
Yeah, there we go.
Like, I think polyamory has, until this day, I feel like polyamory is a little taboo.
Oh, it's still very taboo. I don't think a little. I think it's still.
But I was like, how great would it be to, like, because they already changed, like, a lot of things, like, even the whole Michaela and Francesca thing. And I was like, oh, if they fucking spun it that way, I'd be like, oh, that's cool. But then to find out that, you know, like, he actually just got married to a woman, I was a little kind of like, oh, that would have been great.
I know. It actually would have been really good if they continued that, like, kind of, like, love story. But for how it ended is he just didn't want relationships. So.
I know. I was a little, like, I was a little sad by that, because I was like, sir, you haven't been with anybody. Like, you're just out here fucking bitches.
Fucking bitches.
Anyways.
Talking about, like, great, I obviously Bridgerton is, like, what everybody's talking about. I don't know currently, just because it has kind of little fizzled out a little bit, just because ya no está nuevo. But great production, honestly. Like, it's just very, very well elaborated.
I love the Bridgerton glow-ups.
Yeah? Oh, my God,
I am such a fan of the Bridgerton glow-up. And I was like, it's kind of like they're changing them, but not changing them. Like, it's not like a dramatic... Huh?
Like Colin?
Yes! I was like...
You now you like this season. You're okay. You go for it.
Okay,
boo.
no, but even Anthony from season 1 to season 2, I'm like, they fucking lost the butcher. Those ugly sideburns.
Yes. But yeah, it obviously great. I feel like if very tight, like you get sucked into that time era, and that's beautiful. Like I love. Like,
let's have a Bridgerton party.
We should. I would love that.
Everybody shows up in like suits and or tuxes and ball gowns.
Yes,
and stuff.
That would be so cool if everybody dressed up.
I'd be like, no entry if you're not dressed up.
Yeah, as you should. Anyways, kind of changing the little topic a little bit. Have you watched the Not Like Us music video?
No, I've heard about it, and I think I saw like a quick snippet of it, but like I haven't seen it.
It is real good. It's really good. I really enjoyed the whole music video. I love, like I said, the production. It was produced by by Kendrick's manager, who Drake was saying that, you know, like, I guess the manager had something with his wife.
Hold on, wait, what?
Yeah, Drake said something about, like, Kendrick's manager fooling around with Kendrick's wife.
With Kendrick's wife, yeah.
But Kendrick, to flip it and say, like, bro, you got all lies, had his manager produce the whole music video, be in the music video. Not only that, he had his wife be in the music video, and his whole family. And it was just, honestly, I that was my favorite part, when his whole family, like his little family was in the music video, and they were just happy and smiling, and it was like a kind of like a low-key, like, slap in the face to Drake. Like, yeah, bro, you just fucking...
Wait, okay. Going back to I know the beef is old.
Yeah.
Considered old now. But did Kendrick ever address Drake saying that he planted the leak or whatever? You know how... spilling all these information about a daughter that supposedly doesn't exist or whatever. I don't think so. I don't Kendrick ever addressed that.
I don't think so. I don't know. Not that I recall, honestly. Not that I know of.
I'm still on that. Does anybody fucking know if Kendrick ever addressed that? Because I'm like, how do you come back from that? Yeah. You made a whole song about this daughter or whatever, but it turns out that it was fake because Drake...
Well, he came back with it with Not Like Us, because the Not Like Us dropped after that song.
Yeah, but Not Like Us was already pre-recorded. He was basically waiting for Drake to drop something. So I feel like Kendrick didn't really address some of the shit that...
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I think that lo dejaron el pasado. There's just stuff that kind of like... It didn't live long. That's the thing about it. And obviously we know who the winner in this feud... in this rap battle is.
But I don't know, because I feel like there's a lot of people who are also saying that, like, Drake won.
Yeah, I guess teach their own opinion, you know?
Because they were like, well, and that it goes back to that question of, like, Kendrick never even addressed that. Like, you literally, like, made a whole song about a mole in Drake's team.
Yeah.
And him having this daughter or whatever, but
Yeah.
then it turns out that it was fake. Some people are like, dude, that was how convenient that he said that.
Yeah.
But then what if it is true?
Well, exactamente. You never know. You never fucking know. I think there was lies on each side, that was said, and then from there it's just the artists themselves, like their projects, whatever they put out. Honestly, I feel like the project, like especially Not Like Us, was very well elaborated. In my honest opinion, it just it's been a while since Kendrick came out with like music overall, like a really good. So it's awesome, like comeback. And even the concert that he had in LA, bro, it was crazy.
I heard something about him like basically making fun of Drake because he did like, was it the Hotline Blings dance to it in his middle of his concert, I heard, and I was like, oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
He's still throwing shots.
But honestly, back to the music video, I think it was really well. It just showed his, like, the culture. It showed his culture. It showed representation of the people, and I actually really enjoyed that. It also showed a brand that I'm really into, which I'm wearing the shirt right now. A Ghetto Rodeo, which is like a smaller, like, Mexican American brand based in LA. And it's just so cool seeing how, like, he gave like a shout out, like an amia, like, how do you say I don't know, but basically,
didn't you say like a homage or some shit like that?
I don't fucking know what I said, but something like that. He basically kind of like highlighted that, and I thought it was so cool, like, being able to like put support to these like smaller POC kind of brands, and that was that I thought that was really cool of him. And it's been like, now it's like because I'm like all into the TikToks and the fucking things, me enseñan más cosas de eso. And now the hat is like going viral and all these kind of,
like, people are buying it
yeah,
and stuff.
exactly.
Good.
Like Complex made a whole what was I gonna say, a whole report on it, and it was just so cool. And then they're selling out, and I think that's beautiful to see, like, your own people, tu propia raza, like, coming up like that, and unos se ayudan a otros, you get me, like, and I think that's cool. So yeah, will I be buying the hat? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if it's my type, but I thought it was cool.
What does the hat look like?
It's just like a dad hat, like it says Ghetto Rodeo, and it's like a black hat that's kind of worn out. And everything.
Do you think he did that on purpose?
Yeah, I think so. Because even the position of the cameras and everything like that is very targeted to this area, and the way he wore it was intentional. You get me? It was very intentional.
Like it was like a focal point?
Yeah. It was very intentional.
Do you think they, like, he did it out of his own, like, he just wanted to? Or do you think there was, like, an arrangement made between Ghetto Rodeo and him?
No, I don't know. I think it was because he wanted to, because Ghetto Rodeo was surprised when they saw the music video. Because because I follow them, and then they saw the music, they saw the music video, and they were like going crazy, like, what the fuck? Could
you imagine that feeling of like your own business or whatever the case may be, right? And like it could be as simple as, like, this is the way I'm thinking of it. Like, let's say I wrote and published a book, right? I'm a small time person and I'm not part of the New York Times or whatever, and then there's like a music video and somebody's reading my book. Like, girl, I can only imagine that feeling.
Exactly. Like, just like imagine like a big star just like casually, or like a paparazzi gets their picture reading your book, bro. Like, that's fucking a crazy feeling.
That's crazy. Good for them.
Yeah. So but yeah, if you guys haven't watched the music video, go ahead and watch it. It's pretty cool.
Me, because I haven't watched it.
Yeah, you need to watch it. You need to watch it. And yeah. Oh my god, girl. So, okay, besides my busy ass school schedule, because I put that procrastination on myself, let's decide the point. I went to go watch Inside Out because my sister's in town. So I had my sister together. So I went to go take them to watch Inside Out. Bro, that movie
was good.
It was so good, and it's so beautifully, I don't know. It's just.
Is she like now when she's like a teenager?
Yeah, it's like when she's going through puberty. And I think it's just so beautifully like laid out for like kids to understand. And I wish I had this movie when I was younger, because I feel like putting a definition to certain emotions that you have will help you much more how to like basically get yourself together. And I feel like with us, it's like we didn't have like that production out, and I feel like that would have helped a little bit. That would have helped a little bit, because they talk about you have like the emotions that were already in the original movie, which was like joy, sadness, anger, disgust, and fear.
Okay.
So those were the 5 that, desde chiquita, she's been having. And then puberty comes, and it's like, it's funny because they were like all like whatever.
And then anxiety shows up, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so, I saw that one. I saw the memes. Yeah, I haven't watched the movie.
That's when puberty, sorry, spoiler alerts and whatever. But you guys should watch it already. So puberty comes, right? And then they're like, nobody knows. These emotions don't know what the fuck is happening. So it's like you putting into perspective that your body, like one day puberty fucking comes, and it's like, what the fuck is happening, right? And that's when anxiety comes into play, and boredom, and envy, and what was the other one? Oh, and embarrassment. They come into play, right? And most of the star is anxiety itself, and the way that it put how anxiety makes you feel inside your head, like it explained it in a way that it was just so the kids to be aware. Even for adults, it's like, oh my god, like sometimes, how you get anxiety and you just don't know how to explain it. That movie explains it.
Oh really?
Yes, of how your head runs, and how your head is sometimes your worst enemy when you have anxiety. And it was just a beautiful production overall. My sisters enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed it. I didn't cry, but there were some parts that it's just like, that's exactly what I feel. That's exactly how I felt. And that's a way that you feel like related to, and you feel like, okay, I'm seen, like it's real.
I saw this I saw like people talking about it, and they were saying how there's like a whole, how there's like fan theories and stuff.
Yeah.
And they're saying that like whoever the leader is in your head, like that's kind of like what runs your personality or whatever. Because like in the little girl, it was Joy who was like the leader, right?
Yeah.
They were also showing there was this fan theory. It could be like, I don't know, obviously like don't take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
There's this theory that it's possible that the mom was abused by the husband, because in the mom's leader was sadness, and the dad's was anger. That was the leader of his head.
Yeah.
And they were saying like how it's possible that the mom was like abused by the husband and stuff like that. And I was just like, oh shit, like that's kind of dark.
That is dark. But that's an interesting theory.
And I was like, that's crazy. But in the second movie, is Joy still the leader?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
She's getting overthrown by anxiety. Sorry guys, spoiler. She's getting overthrown by anxiety. Because that's how puberty is. Like I feel like as kids you don't know what is happening to your body, and it's kind of like, well, I'll tell you a little bit about the movie. The movie, like, anxiety completely throws them out, and they have to find their way back.
Oh shit.
Yes. Like anxiety takes control of the whole body, and she starts changing how she is. She starts going against her own values, and going against how she was brought up and everything like that, or what her personal beliefs, because anxiety was fucking with her brain so much.
Damn, that's so crazy. Oh, I'm gonna have to watch the movie. Yeah. I love these like movies like this where they have like a deeper meaning to them and stuff, and they like actually like
and they teach our youth.
Like no shade to like princess movies and all that shit, but like movies like this. Another movie that I really really love is Zootopia, because I feel like shows like in a very kid friendly way what like prejudice does and what stereotypes do to people and how, you know what I'm saying? Like the whole like how fucks are shady or whatever. And like I'm like, dude, they're basically explaining like prejudice and racism and all this stuff.
Yeah, but in a kid-friendly way that, you know, it's just...
And I love movies like this where they kind of have like such a like show, I don't know, like I guess like teach kids and youth like
what's actually happening and stuff that they're supposed to know, not just another love story.
Oh shit, I was gonna say something else and I hella like forgot. It was something about Inside Out. I was gonna ask you a question. Do they show like any of the parents is like...
Yeah,
they do
because they're like, oh my god, like they're showing their reaction to like, she's hit puberty, what the fuck do we do?
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, we've been preparing this for a long time now. So, but it's not like a focus point on it. It's like
it's still just on her.
Yeah, it's just on her and how she changes through, because she's transitioning from going to middle school to high school as well, and making friends and everything like that. So yeah, it's a beautiful movie, honestly.
Do you feel like you were prepared for puberty?
Hell no, especially coming from I would say a more conservative Mexican family that they didn't talk a lot about. I didn't know what puberty was. I actually, when it came to my period, I didn't know what a period was when I came back from Mexico. I would think it was like in fourth grade, and my friends kept on mentioning it, and I was like, what the fuck is a period? And
you never asked your mom?
No, I did. I had to, because I was like, what the fuck is a period? Everybody talks about periods, and I was like, oh, but very plainly was like, oh yeah, you know, like once a month, a woman, like, you know, like once you hit a certain age or your body's ready, and when you start bleeding, and that's when you use the pads and everything like that. But very short put. Yeah. Like that. Like it wasn't like into depth, like what exactly is going to happen to your body, or what exactly is going to happen to your head. Because also, like, you have to keep in mind, I don't know if my parents had that talk. I feel like they kind of, it's like whatever happens. Kind of like the conversation she gave me is what she knew at that time. So yeah, I was not ready.
Why do you think parents, like, I guess in sus tiempos, like, why do you think they didn't talk about those things?
Because I feel like it was taboo, especially, it's crazy to think about it that way, but
because it happens to everybody. Like, everybody goes through puberty.
Yeah, exactly. There's no person that, I mean, there are, but in most cases, everybody goes through puberty, you know, women and men, and I have no idea. I feel like it's so, like, the body, like, you know, like, I don't know. But it is very taboo. I'll just say for myself, like in my family and everything like that. Oh my God, like it's the same thing conversation as sex when everybody has sex, or like most people have sex. Me, stop saying everybody, Edith. But it's a very natural thing, and it's not something that's we conversate about.
I get the difference between having a sex talk and not wanting to bring that up, but like I feel like puberty is a whole different thing because it's not your puberty puberty does not involve another person. And I could see why sex is taboo because it involves someone else, different stuff going on. More. Yeah, it's more intimate, but I feel like puberty, like I feel like everybody should be prepared for that. And I know like schools did their best to prepare,
but even some parents opted out to not.
Yes,
because I remember there's certain kids in my class that they had to leave.
They couldn't join the thing. Yeah, I remember.
And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. But I do think, especially because a lot of kids go through puberty at a very young age. Like, for example, like I've known girls that got their period in 3rd grade. Like, for me, it's like, how are we not going to make sure that these kids are well prepared and know exactly what's happening to their body, and they don't feel lost within themselves? Like, what the fuck?
Did you notice a difference with the puberty conversation with your younger sisters and your parents?
I wasn't in there. I think they had their own period conversation, but I wasn't a part of it.
Oh, but you just didn't know about it?
Yeah, I didn't know about it. I mean, eventually I found out, like, oh, my sister got her period and stuff like that. But even then, it was a topic that it was like, we don't talk about it anymore. It's not until we got older that I guess we're very much more liberal on it, that we'll talk about like periods like nothing. And and even my little sister, we kind of give her like little, I don't want to say we plain out had the period conversation already with her, but we do give her like little insights on it, because she's asked about it. She's about to go into 2nd grade.
Okay, because she's about to get into the age where a lot of people like even like early onset puberty. Yeah. Because I started puberty in 4th grade. Yeah, you started. I was very young. I recall not having like a very good experience with puberty. I guess I'll share a little bit. I know I've told you like some of my story, but for our friends, like I just, the reason why I asked is because I feel like I didn't have a very good experience with like the puberty conversation and all that. I just remember in 4th grade, feeling very, not really knowing what's going on with the changes in my body, and realizing that, like, for example, I started growing boobs in 4th grade, and I had to wear, like a little sports bra, like we
call them corpiños. I don't know what you
yes, we call them that. That's what we call
like
them.
It's a sports bra, but not really a sports bra. It's like a little.
But it was because my body started changing, and my body started changing, and realizing that like that don't look cute. I started feeling like, I don't even know what I felt. I just remember feeling like a little bit of an embarrassment, because like a lot of girls were very flat chested, and you could just wear a shirt, like a regular shirt, and nothing, right? But like, since I had already started growing pecho, like when I would wear a shirt, you could see basically the outline of my nipples and like the growing chest area. And I feel like I got made fun of it. I got made fun of it because like my body looked different than other little girls. And I remember telling my mom, like, I don't like how my chest looks. And I think that's, mind you, this was during a time period where my mom was working 2 jobs. Okay. So I didn't really have these kinds of conversations with her. And I feel like she was in the mental state of survival. She didn't really have the mental capacity to talk to us about these kinds of things. I feel like to her, these things were very frivolous. Like, they were just kind of like, whatever, like, we'll get to that bridge when we get there. And I think it makes me a little emotional, because I feel like I would have wanted to be able to like have these conversations with my mom, but a lot of it was like me kind of figuring it out on my own. And I feel like little girls shouldn't go through that, especially when their bodies are changing so much.
And you just don't know what the fuck is happening.
Yeah, and you don't know what's going on. Lost. I had really bad like fucking hormonal issues when I was a teenager. But so I finally told my mom, I was like embarrassed of how I looked. And then she was like, oh, like, ya te tenemos que comprar un corpiño. Like, that's what she said. So she went and like, she bought me a whole bunch of little, like, they're like not sports bras, but kind of sports bras. Because they're not exactly a bra. So she started buying me those, and it wasn't until like 5th grade. I remember that's when we had like the period conversation and all that, like at school. And but I actually got my period before the conversation. Oh. So mind you, at this point I was like, what, 10?
Did you already know that it was like,
I knew about periods and stuff like that, because my sister was already a teenager, and my mom would buy her like pads and like stuff like that. So I obviously, like, I'm in the bathroom and I can see that there's like pads and stuff, but like I never actually had those conversations. And I just remember like asking my sister about it once, and she was just telling me like, she basically put it plainly, like how your mom did, like, oh, like, you know, like once a month or every 28 days, like your body's going to like bleed. And like, she just put it very plainly. Yeah. And I was just kind of like, oh, okay. But I still didn't feel prepared for it. And especially because I saw that my sister like was going through this. I just remember her being older than me. So I thought, my sister's 5, there's a 5-year age gap between us. Yeah. And so I remember thinking that, oh, that's not going to happen to me until I'm older. Yeah. Because she was a teenager already. And I was, what, like 10? My sister was 15. And I just remember, like, one day, I was in 5th grade. And I just remember that day, I just started feeling, like, shit, like total shit. And I couldn't even distinguish if it was like a stomach ache. Because I was feeling crampy. Now I know it's cramps. But back then I didn't know what Yeah, and I was like, why the fuck is my back? My back was killing me. Girl, I was just like feeling so on edge because I just had no idea what my body was going through. And I was just like, I have to go to the bathroom. And I thought I had to I thought I had to poop. And because my stomach was like cramping and like that was the only thing I could think of that was going on, is that I had to poop. So I was like, I have to go to the bathroom. So I ran to the bathroom and I like obviously like sat down, and as I pulled everything down, girl, it was a fucking crime scene down there, because I got I used till this day, I sometimes, well, now because I'm on birth control, my period's a little bit different, but if I wasn't on birth control, I get very heavy flow. Yeah. And so I remember just like pulling down obviously my pants and my panties, and it was just like murder scene, like crime scene, like how messy it was. Sorry for being so like
no, you're good.
Descriptive, but I just remember like thinking like, what the fuck is going on? Like my mind started reeling, and I was just like, what is going on? Like I had no idea what to do. And then I think I started crying. I remember I started crying.
Girl.
You want to know why I started crying? Not even because I got my period and what was going on. I started crying because I was wearing my sister's white tracksuit. You remember those tracksuits?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
I was wearing the white tracksuit pants.
It had to be when you were wearing white, bro.
It was when I was wearing all white. It was like the fucking sweater and the pants. I forgot what shirt I was wearing, but I was wearing a white tracksuit, and it was like, blood and white? Girl, I started crying because I was like, Iris is gonna kill me. Like I literally was, I was crying because I was like, Iris is gonna be pissed at me, which she was. Obviously it wasn't something I could control, but she was pissed. But anyways, I remember just like crying and like not knowing what to do. I just grabbed a bunch of toilet paper and I was like, okay, this will have to do for now because I don't know what to do. And I just remember going to the nurse's office. I went to the nurse's office and I let them know what was going on, and then that's when they were like, oh honey, like you got your period and all this stuff. And I remember this is also during the time where I was riding my bike to school. And so I remember they called my mom because they were like, oh, like, hey, you need to come get your daughter, like she got her period, whatever, right? Like they explained the situation to her, and I remember she like showed up and my mom was like pissed, okay? And this is like where it was a little like, it like, I don't know, I still kind of, I feel like that hurt is there because my mom was pissed when she walked in, and she's like, okay, let's go. And we had to go get my bike and I had to throw it in the trunk of the car, and my mom was just, and like, I by no means am resentful of how she reacted to me getting my period, because again, my mom was working 2 jobs. She was mentally exhausted, and I feel like to her, like she just didn't have the mental capacity to understand what was going on, and she just had a lot on her plate. And my mom was so pissed, and she just started going off on me. And she was just like, how could you get your period so young, and this and this and that. And I'm just sitting in the back seat, like not even knowing how to respond to her, because it was not something that I can control. And I remember feeling like it's still.
But so the thing about it is like, I get, you know exactly why your mom acted that way.
Yeah.
But it doesn't. How can I say that your feelings are still justified? Like, they're still valid for you. You were a little girl.
I know.
Like, I know, like, your mom was obviously going through a lot, but it's just like, it's just crazy, like the fact that you're at such a vulnerable stage and you like went through that, and you didn't know what the fuck was happening. Your feelings are still very much valid, even though she was going through that.
I know, but I just remember feeling like I disappointed her in some kind of way, even though it was nothing that I can control. Because I feel like, again, I was such a high achieving kid because I never wanted it, like that feeling of not wanting to disappoint your parents.
Yeah.
And I just felt like I disappointed her in some kind of way.
And you didn't have control over it.
I didn't have any control of it. Obviously, I got my period. And I just remember her like just being pissed. Like, why are you getting your period so young? And then she was like, oh, it was probably because you fell off your bike that one time. Because one time I was like shortly before that, I think. I had this friend, and my mom didn't necessarily like this friend, and I remember I was on her pegs on her bike, and I fucking fell back, like, pretty hard. I got, like, that shit hurt, and my mom thinks that, like, maybe that, I don't know, I'm telling you, I feel like she was trying to rationalize so many things, and I feel like in her head, no le cabía, because of, she had all these other things to worry about, you know?
And then you got it at such a young age, she just was trying to put two and two
together. My mom was like, I didn't get my period until I was well into my teenage years. Mind you, I was 10. And my mom was like older than 15 when I think she got her period. Yeah. And she was just like trying to rationalize, like, why did you get your period so young? And it started, like, she kind of, like, turned it around of, like, what are you doing? What have you been doing? Like, kind of, like, it was my fault. On you. Yeah, trying to blame it on me. And I'm just, like, sitting back there, like, not even knowing how to reply to her or what to say because I couldn't control what was going on in my body. And I just remember we got home and my mom was, like, mad. I think she was also mad because she was just so tired. Like, I don't know if anybody knows this feeling of being so mentally exhausted that you don't even... like, you're not thinking straight. Yeah. Like, have you, like, only slept, like, an hour and having been awake? Like, you start to become delirious. Yes. You become so delirious. And this is why I don't blame my mom. Because, like, as an adult, like, I fully understand. Just because I understand it doesn't mean that it didn't hurt. Yeah. And I completely, like, I'm validating my feelings.
Okay, that's my emphasis, you know, like.
No, just because I understand, that doesn't mean that I wasn't hurt. Okay. Like, I'm not invalidating what I was feeling, but I also understand
where she was coming from,
like, to the point of exhaustion and being so deliriously tired because she was working 2 jobs 7 days a week. Yeah. And I just remember her coming home and like my sister, because you know my sister like was in high school and they got out earlier than elementary. Yeah. So my sister was home already, and I just remember Iris being like, "Why are you home already? Like, what the hell?" And my mom was like, "Angel got her period. Show her how to use a pad." And then my mom just went to bed. And I never got a conversation with my mom. And it was more like my sister just being like, I feel like my sister didn't even know what the fuck she was like. She was just like, oh, okay, so what you're gonna do. And like, shout out to Iris. Shout out to Iris. I still remember her showing me how to put on a pad, how to use it, how to dispose of it. She literally sat there and she was like showing me how to put it on my underwear. Yeah. And then she was like, okay, and then when like, you know, obviously when it gets like full, you're gonna do this, you're gonna roll it up, you're gonna put it on paper because people get grossed out when they see this, which I think is stupid that people would get grossed out by something that naturally happens, you know? But she was showing me how to like properly dispose of like sanitary napkins and all that stuff. Yeah. And so my sister was pretty much the one who showed me about that, like how to use all that. But it just like, I feel like it's one of those like little hurts, you know, like it's just like little Angel was like so sad that like how that played out. But I completely understand where I don't blame my mom, you know, because I have full understanding, but it's just one of those things that like it like hurt to go through that.
Yeah, it's hurt, it's trauma,
and I'm just like, I don't know that like and you know like maybe I have to have this conversation with Iris and see if like maybe because I know so we have the same mom, but my sister got a different version of my mom.
Oh, yep, I know that exactly. Mm-hmm.
I feel like every sibling has the same parent, but they also don't have the same parent because they're in different circumstances of life, and they get different versions depending on where they are mentally and where they are in life. So you get maybe I'm gonna ask Iris like what she got, because what I got was totally different than what she got. Yeah, and so like I don't know. It's just like it's just one of those things that like I'm like, it's so crazy that like having a puberty talk is taboo when everybody fucking like goes through puberty. Well, you know, I don't know what certain medical conditions people have, but like mostly everybody goes through puberty.
It's something that it's like it's gonna happen, you know. You know, to some younger than others, and I wish that it wasn't that such a taboo topic, honestly. And I praise the new generation that's putting this step forward and actually having those conversations with their kids and teaching them. And honestly, before learning that in school, I feel like a parent should already have that talk with them, to have their own version of what exactly happens. And they're not going into this class just completely dumbfounded, like you just don't fucking know it, like anything about it. And like I said, it's something that happens to everybody. We all have our own experience with it. So
and I know my sister was like more proactive about that too, because I know, obviously I don't know how the conversation went, but I know she did have several conversations with my nephew about like puberty and his body changing, and just how open, like that's one thing that I really admire about my sister and my nephew, is like how open of a relationship they have with each other, and where there's like no shame,
like you're okay and you feel comfortable enough going to your parent and asking them these questions.
And I just like, even when I recall like, even when my nephew, because my nephew's 15 now, and so he's going through that, those changes. So, and it's different because he's a boy, so we can't 100% understand what's going on inside of him. But I just remember even when he started noticing like hair growth and like different things going on in his body, and him just like running to my sister and be like, hey, I have whatever, and my sister being like, oh, and there being no shame. And just, that's one thing that I really admire about my sister and my nephew, like my sister and my nephew's relationship, like how the closeness and the like no shame, no judgment, and like him feeling comfortable going to my sister these things. I'm like, that's crazy, because like there was a lot of things where I felt like I couldn't go to my parent about.
And you even just bringing up the hair things, like, bro, I remember when I started like growing hair and stuff, and I was like completely like, what the fuck is wrong with you? But in a way, I don't know why, I felt like I couldn't talk about it.
Yeah.
Like, I just
were you like completely like taken aback by
it?
Like you didn't.
This is before, like, I did I know what a period was at this point? I don't recall. But I was pretty young, and then just hair started growing in places that I've never seen hair grow before, like pubic hair and stuff like that, or under my arms, and I was like, what in the world is
actually started going through that in 4th grade. So I started hair growth and obviously like my chest developing in 4th grade, but I wasn't scared about it because and this might just speak to like my family's dynamic, but I've seen my sister naked, I've seen my mom naked.
Yeah.
I knew the hair grew in different places, so I wasn't so taken aback by it.
Oh,
and that's just because like I've been on the toilet while my mom's like, I'm gonna hop in the shower, and so like I knew that hair grew in different, and like knowing that my sister like shaved her pits, you know, and stuff like that. But you being the older sister, I'm sure it was like different because you didn't, like, I've seen my sister naked, I've seen, but like you've never had that dynamic with your mom.
No, I didn't have that dynamic with my mom.
Okay.
So obviously I was very taken aback. I kind of knew a little bit about the pits and stuff like that, which I was like, what? Okay. But when it was going down there, bro, I was like, what in the world is happening?
And you never brought it up to your mom?
No, I didn't, because in a way I felt like, oh my God, like this is weird. Like, it's weird. I didn't feel comfortable enough to be telling her these. Obviously I love my mom and we have a great relationship now, but at that point I just felt like, in a way, a little bit of like shame.
I was gonna say, you felt like embarrassment, shame.
That I was growing hair where I never fucking seen it before. Obviously my leg hair started getting like thicker and like coarse. I started getting pit hair, like my underarm, and that's when I did bring it up to my mom when it come to my underarms, because I was like, what the hell? And she's like, oh, you could just start shaving, but that's it, like, here's a razor, here you go. I remember like the first time that I even like shaved my legs too, because it wasn't at the same time. It was like I was only allowed to shave my pits, and then I shaved my legs one day, and then I remember my dad was like, why? Like, you're okay how you are. Like, I don't know. A part of my dad didn't want to let go of like
your body girl was changing.
Yes. And I was like, oh, I can't. Like, they were gonna make fun of me, and it was to a point where I think it was like 6th grade. So you start PE and stuff. So I was just like, all these girls, you're surrounded by girls and they're all already shaving. So I was like, oh man, and my legs were still like hairy, like bro.
Yeah.
So I did it on one time by myself, and I was like, you know what, my parents don't let me, but I can't. Like I'm like getting like people are saying shit. Also like I didn't like, because I went through puberty in middle school, so like your traditional middle school type thing. And I didn't wear no corpiños or anything like that, girl. So when I went into 6th grade and girls started changing, almost all of them had like the little sports bras. And tell me why my mom never like my mom didn't get me any and stuff like that. So I felt so like embarrassed
because you're about to show your titties.
Yes! Like not that I had anything, because I was completely flat chested, but still, like, you have all these girls from all these kind of ages, because remember, it's like it's 6th, 7th, and 8th, and almost all of them had like little corpiños or like a bra or something like that, and I'm just like, I'm about to take off my shirt. So I remember I think I went to like the bathroom and I fucking changed there, because I felt so embarrassed at the fact that I wasn't developed like that. Or like even the ones that didn't have anything, they still had like a little corpiño on. So like I was just like, I'm over here just fucking
free titty.
Yeah, free titty it. And honestly, like, obviously no shame to it and everything like that, but I just didn't know. And I wasn't like, my mom never really talked to me about, I knew about bras, but I thought it was like till later on. So I'm put into this scenario where it's like almost everybody has, is going through it. So we have the hair, we have the bras. Finally, my mom, I told her about it, and she's like, okay, let me buy you little corpiños, whatever, so you go whatever.
Dude, that's so crazy how different our like childhood like just our like when it comes to our bodies changing were, because I was already wearing full-on bras by the time I was in 6th grade. Like my mom was buying me Victoria's Secret bras.
You see, no, girl. I was a girl.
I stopped wearing the little corpiños in like I think already like into 5th grade, because you could, how like they're kind of thin too. You could already see through the corpiño that my titties were developing. Yeah. And so by that point, I told my mom, I'm like, Mom, it's embarrassing. And she went and took me to Victoria's Secret. Well, I don't even think my first bra was from Victoria. It was probably from JCPenney. But then when I was in like 6th grade, I told my mom that I wanted a real bra because the little girl shit was not cutting it.
Yeah. You see? Oh my God, it's fucking crazy, because I didn't get my first fucking whatever until till 6th. I want to say 6th grade. And then from there, I obviously my body was changing. I was like more hair, whatever. I didn't get my period until, oh my God, my boobs. Like, literally, I had no boobs. All 6th grade, I had no boobs. Summer of 6th grade, my boobs start coming in. They come in hot, y'all. Like, first of all, I have big boobs, They come in hot. Like, I'm talking about, I had nothing when I went into that summer, I went into fucking 7th grade with, I want to say I was a C cup already. In that summer.
That's so crazy.
Like, I went from nothing, pared status, to a fucking C cup.
That's crazy. So you couldn't even like really wear your bras for that long.
People thought I was stuffing them, but it wasn't. Yeah. No, y eso que mi mamá tampoco me quería, like, oh, todavía I need a bra. I need a bra, lady. Like, and then after multiple conversations with her, she started like getting me a bra. And I got my period, I believe, the first day of 7th grade.
That's so crazy. The first day
of school, bro. Yeah. And I kind of felt it because the day before, I was like, this is when I was a little bit more, I did my own research on what a period was and everything like that. I had the period conversation with school and stuff like that. So I kind of was already like, oh, okay, this is going to come. And the day before, I started feeling a little weird. I'm like, do not tell me these are cramps. And I was like, what the fuck? And then the first day of school.
Sure enough.
Wake up and there's fucking blood. And I was like, what the fuck?
At least it happened to you, like, while you were home. Yeah. Like,
Exactly. Like, right when I woke up, I was like, it's okay. Just put on a pad. Here's how you put it on. And you keep on going on your day.
Not on a white tracksuit.
Yeah, exactly. Bro. And I was like, oh, my God. Like, So the whole day it was just like, first of all, it's middle school. I feel like seventh grade is just weird, and
No, for
it was my
sure.
first day. I was cramping. I just didn't feel good at all. And then I come like from sixth grade to seventh grade with a whole new fucking body, bro. My fucking boobs grew. My curves started showing a lot more. Like I was getting attention that was not also like weird, like from boys, and yeah, it was just interesting.
Yeah, and like honestly, like nobody even fucking talks about like what's going on mentally with all the
Yes,
changes.
you
I
don't know
just
what the fuck
remember
is happening.
I just remember, dude, the one memory I have of like, I remember I was in like sixth or seventh grade. My hormones were outrageous. I don't know what the fuck was going on. That I went from like waking up, putting my little MTV music videos in the morning while I'm getting ready. And I just was feeling very, and then I started feeling very icky, and I think it was because I was PMSing, and now I know I was PMSing, but like, I just started feeling very icky, like everything I put on I didn't like, because obviously like you said, like your body starts changing, and like soy bien ¿cómo se dice?
Caderona.
Caderona. So like I'm just like, why the fuck is like my pants not fitting right?
Yeah.
Like because I'm very like bigger bottom wise, and so I start feeling fat and gross and also bloated, not realizing that like like your period makes you bloated because of the cramping and all that stuff, and there's all this going on, and I'm just like looking in the mirror feeling disgusted with myself, because nothing is fitting me how I wanted it to fit, and I'm just like, dude, my hair was not combing the way I wanted it to. Girl, I started slamming. I remember I started like at one point I just had so like much anxiety, and there was so many hormones going on. I just remember like I was in the bathroom trying to brush my hair, and and my mom was already mad at me because she was like, hurry up, like you're gonna be late to school.
Yeah.
And I just remember like I remember getting the comb and just slamming it on the bathroom like countertop because I was just so frustrated, and I didn't even know how to exert my emotions or my feelings. I didn't know how to process any of it.
Yeah,
Did not know how to process any of it. And I just remember slamming the brush on and then pulling. I looked like a crazy person. Like I started pulling my hair and just crying for no fucking apparent reason.
And that's PMS for you.
And I was just like, I just started screaming.
Yeah, you were just so frustrated. Not only the fact that you were already frustrated that nothing fit and everything, you were also frustrated that you didn't know what the fuck was happening.
Yeah.
And you weren't in control of your emotions.
Exactly. And nobody teaches you how to control this shit. And it's like, this is why, like, people are like, oh, these teenagers are so outraged. And, like, I get it to a degree because it's like, I remember going through these changes and, like, nobody really explaining them to me and me not even knowing how to process them. Yeah. And so, like, sometimes, like, when, like, teenagers are, like, out, like, like reacting in certain ways and stuff like that, it's like, I try to... Obviously now, we have better understanding of our bodies and our minds and how to process things. Not everybody, but, we have a better understanding of things. Yeah. And so, like, I try to be, like, remind myself, like, when I see, like, my nephew acting out or, like, teenagers, I'm like, okay, girl, like, you were there at one point. Like, you knew exactly how it felt to not have these new, like, hormonal changes happening and feelings and not knowing how to process them because nobody talked to you about it. And, like, I obviously I can't speak on what happens with my nephew and my sister and all that, but I have a better understanding of it. But I just remember that one moment is just like a core memory of like me not knowing, like reeling and not knowing.
You didn't know what was happening.
Yeah.
I do remember like I would have fits of rage in a way. Like I didn't know why I felt. It's like also my anxiety was at an all time like, what the fuck is happening? Like I do remember being frustrated with just life and everything. Pero I never had that conversation with my mom of how it affects it. And even when you have the period conversation or the whatever sex ed or in school, they don't teach you about how your hormones are gonna change the way you think. or the way you react to certain things. And so it was very, very new.
They don't really speak on what's going on mentally when these changes are happening.
No, and instead my parents were just like, oh, she's literally just acting out, like, and obviously and I don't blame them or anything. They know as much as they were taught, and con la vida, like, because I was their first, like, kid, like,
you were the guinea pig.
Yeah, I was the guinea pig, so aprendieron de eso, and he took a lot more grace with my sisters. In all honesty, like, I feel like the approach that they took with my sisters, especially during that time, they take it with a lot more grace now. With me, I felt like I was getting punished left and right for feelings and emotions that I couldn't control. Like, I was considerada una mula. I would always talk back, but it was just like, I just felt so frustrated within my own body because I didn't know what the fuck was happening. And instead, I just got more punishment. So it was just like a cycle of, like, not knowing what is happening in my head, in my body, or anything. It was very frustrating. Pero como dije, ya.
And it also feels lonely. It feels lonely because you almost feel like nobody understands what you're going through. And it's crazy. And you can't even explain it.
Exactly. It's crazy. You feel so lonely. And I feel like, because we all go through the same thing, I feel like at one point we feel kind of the same. Like, when puberty hits and the hormones and stuff like that. Like, I wish my mom could have, like, basically gone back to when she was going through puberty and kind of, like, related more towards me with that. Obviously, como dije, she only knew how much she was taught, and she came from a very, very, very conservative family. So aprendió, and I had to go through it by myself and stuff like that. I'm still here, but I do love the fact that, poco a poquito aprendieron más, and then with my sisters, because
they took a different approach.
Yeah, they took a different approach. We're all girls, so obviously we're all gonna go through it. Well, guys too, but like I said, I'm not very familiar with that. And they did take a different approach with them. Like I said, I wasn't there in their period conversations. Yeah. But I feel like it was more gracious. I don't know. And even the punishments and the castigos, yelling back, it was very different.
It was different.
Yeah. Yeah. So, that's...
Yeah, I definitely feel like... And I definitely see my mom, like, totally being more gracious and more lenient with my nephew. The only thing is, like, I don't know if maybe gender plays a role because, he's a boy. You know what? And, like, my nephew been having girlfriends, like, and all this stuff, and it was never, like, such a huge deal, but I don't know because I remember when my mom siempre me decía, no seas volada, no seas...
Oh, my God, yes.
No seas volada, this and this and that, like, left and fucking right, like, don't get pregnant. I never got, like, the, like, sex talk. But all I ever heard was don't get pregnant. And I'm just like, how does that happen? Like,
exactly. Same thing, bro.
Actually, I'm not even going to lie. I knew about sex since I was very young because I used to watch rated R movies. Oh. And like Titanic was my favorite movie. You know how there's like sex scenes and stuff. Yeah. So like, I kind of knew about it early on, but I just didn't know the fucking like technicalities of what. Yes. You knew
of sex. You just didn't know what actually went down during sex. I had the same experience. I feel like my mom mostly was because my dad was like, Dad, it's like, this is not my territory. This is not my thing. Go with your mom. I don't know. But it was mostly like, don't get pregnant. Mm-hmm. Like, don't get pregnant. Okay, then. Okay, I try not to get pregnant. For a moment, I remember when I was like younger, I was like, do I get pregnant by kissing? Like, goddamn, like, I gotta make sure I don't kiss anybody. But it's just because I was so naive.
No, yes, it's so funny. I literally had one friend who she was panicking because she told me that she accidentally used like her brother-in-law's loofah or something like that. Like she used it on accident. And then she was like, Angel, what if I get pregnant? And she starts like crying because she was like thinking like, what if I get pregnant from using a man's loofah?
I can relate, bro. Yes, it's scary because you don't know.
You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
And nobody fucking talks to you about these things. So I guess like it's different. It was different times, but like even just like with our families, like it was such a taboo topic.
Yeah. And obviously now, like, I don't know how the conversations of like sex have been with my sister. For me, it was non-existent. It was just like, don't get pregnant. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll try my best not to get pregnant. Haven't gotten pregnant now. Ahora sí quieren, ¿verdad? Pero no. No.
No, that's so funny. That is hilarious because before it was don't get pregnant. And now it's like, so when y'all gonna have kids?
So like we're getting older, you know? But yeah, so it's very interesting how I feel like now, because we had that experience when it came to puberty and then like the sex talk, I feel like now if we ever decided to have kids, it's gonna be completely
100% different.
Completely different. I do want to foster, like, if I do ever have like kids, I do want to foster that very open relationship, like kind of like how your sister and Andre have. Like, I feel like that's beautiful, the fact that he could go to tell her anything, like, bro, like, this is happening to me. Oh my God, like, let me tell you why it's happening. Why are you feeling this way? Like, I want to have that openness.
I used to have mentors in my life, and the way they were with their children was just like I was just like, that they were such an example of like, if I ever decide to have children, like that's how I wanted to raise them. Because and they used to have this mentality of like, we're raising adults through childhood. And they kept saying that because whenever their kids would start acting out and start kind of being a little annoying or whatever, you know, like kids being kids, their approach to parenting was so different. Instead of being like, ya cállate, you know, or like, ya aplácate, you know, like that fucking.
¿Te aplacas o te aplaco?
Exactly. Like, instead of that, like, they would sit down they would grab their kids, sit them down, and just be like, what are you feeling? And ask them, what are you feeling? Why do you think you're feeling that way? And just talk them through these situations. And I'm just like, and it totally made sense at that point why their mentality was, we're raising adults through childhood, because they're preparing them for adulthood. And like, when you're an adult, you can't fucking act out and throw tantrums, you know? And it's like making sure that they understand what they're feeling and talking them out through those feelings of like, why do you think you feel that way?
And it's like learning to process emotions at such a young age is so beneficial when you get to adulthood, because let me tell you, there's a lot of adults still to this, like, that don't know how to process
they're
emotion.
Children in adults' bodies.
Yes, exactly. And it's like, of course, it like it could have been a different approach with childhood. It could have benefited them now. But I love that's the mentality that they're taking, because I think it's a great mentality, you know?
Yeah. And obviously, like, we're speaking from like an objective view of people who don't have kids, so we don't know what it actually is like. Yes, guys. We don't know. We don't know what it's actually like having kids, so we don't know. But I had great role models in my life at one point. Like, I had these mentors who I saw that it is 100% doable to rate like that mentality, but also because of the circumstances that they were in life. I think also I'm not blind to like, okay, maybe they were better off, maybe they were well off, and also like they had kids at a different point of their life, you know, like I totally see that all the circumstances are different, you know? So I take all of that into consideration. So I'm not saying that, like, you know, however anybody is raising their kids the wrong way, because I'm not a parent. I don't know.
I feel like also it's like sometimes we're so easy to forget we all went through the same things, you know? So I feel like for me, I'm just talking the experience of like with my sisters, because obviously I don't have kids. Sometimes it is very easy to forget that I went through that, you know? So sometimes I had to check myself to be like, Edith, you literally were in that same place. So tune back to that teenage Edith or that younger Edith, and how she would have liked to be treated. And then I changed my approach, obviously, with my sisters.
And how you would have wanted to been talked to.
Exactly.
Because that plays a huge role.
Yeah. And I take that approach into my sisters, because I have a teenage sister. I have a younger sister. So
You literally have a sister in like different areas of
life path. Like over here, like I have like a younger, a teenager.
You got like a baby one.
I have one barely in her 20s. Like,
trying to figure out herself. So I check myself a lot. No soy perfecta. I'm gonna be honest. No soy perfecta. Sometimes I gets the best of me, but I try to check myself and be like, okay, in that stage of life, how was I feeling?
What was I going through? Like, let me be a little bit more empathetic in the approach of how I'm going to talk to them. So, yeah. And I feel like as a parent, I feel like I try to, my mom does that too now. Because me and my mom are really, really close. So now we have that, we conversate about anything, bro, anything. So we have that conversation, and she tries to use that approach as well with my little sisters. Because obviously she's older, you know? So I'm like, and she's changing her parenting styles, and I feel like that's benefited her a lot as well. So
good for her for, like, you know, being able to evolve as a parent and stuff like that, and not being like, well, when I was, because you know there's that mentality with some people,
when I was a kid it wasn't easy for me, so why should it be easy for you?
Or even the, like, oh, these kids nowadays or whatever, and then
have it so easy. It's a different,
not realizing also that, like, why are you trying to put your kids through what you went through? Even, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's so crazy to me, that mentality.
I feel like you could still teach your kids being responsible, like to be responsible and accountable, without having to teach them having to go through the same life circumstances that you did. You get me? Because if you could make it easier, if their life is obviously easier, that's what we strive for, no? Like, why are we going to make it harder for them?
Yeah. I don't know. But anyways, we kind of spiraled into that conversation.
Sorry guys. Thank you for everybody who's stuck to with us through everything.
Yeah.
Shout out to the men that aren't scared of talking about periods.
For real.
I was honestly thinking about having like a guy on the show to talk about his perspective of how he went when he was going through puberty.
Oh my God,
I think that would be so cool.
Yeah, that would be
or somebody that maybe has like sisters, to see how their perspective was of when also their sisters were going through, like, what was this?
Yeah, that's a good one. We should definitely do that. Pero I don't even think we have time for Chisme this time, but we will get to the Chisme, guys. So sorry. But if you made it this far, thank you for going on these rants with us.
Yeah.
Hashtag Inside Out.
There we go.
Hashtag Inside Out if you made it this far. Pero ahí los vamos a dejar, chicos.
Make sure to follow, like, and subscribe. That helps out a lot. And make sure to also leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Anything less,
hit the DMs, guys.
So y'all already know. Okay. Ya los dejamos porque...
No, that's it.
Let's go.
Anyways, que tengan un buen día. Que Dios los bendiga.
Besitos.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.